This video is a follow-up to part one, where I put out a trail camera, some traps, and a carcass, and I think it was a period of 3 weeks where I put it out. So in this video I want to discuss some of the things that I learned, some of the things I won't do again, and convey them to you so you can use them either trapping or for your viewing pleasure or whatnot. But before I go into that, there's only been 35 views on the part one video. So if you haven't seen that, go back and look at that. And also, if you will, please like and subscribe to my channel so that I know that there are viewers out there that like this content. Right now, it's kind of hard to justify doing some of these videos if there's only a handful of people or subscribers, viewers, and whatnot. So I would appreciate if you did that. The first thing, if you're using a carcass, trapping, or to put a camera out, I would recommend securing or tying down your carcass in some form or fashion, using anchors or whatnot. That way you're not going to have to move your cameras or your traps or whatever. Second thing, it's illegal in some states and not illegal in others, but if you put your traps right next to the carcass, a lot of times you'll catch things that you don't intend to catch. And it's more of a nuisance if not anything else. So I recommend, even if it's legal in your state, to move the traps away from the carcass at least 10 feet or so. And it's really just beneficial to everybody. One of the things I noted in the video is there was a whole range of different animals that came to investigate. We had possums, skunks, coyotes, fox, deer, hawks. One thing I didn't note was vultures, which is kind of surprising. I thought that was going to be the first thing to visit it and the most often as well. I don't really know the reason for that. Maybe you do. If you do, leave it in the comments below. But a lot of people think that the deer will stay away from a carcass or from any animal, rotting meat, coyotes that are dead or whatever. I've put out coyotes, or I put out a coyote before, and I've seen deer come up 2 days later and not pay a lick of attention right next to the carcass. So there's something that they know, whether it's alive or dead, and those gut piles or whatever, they're not scared by them. So the next thing I want to talk about was cameras. If you do use cameras, try to, well, if you have black flash cameras, try to use those if you're trying to catch predators on camera. Or if you don't, or even if you do, put that camera above eye level. They're much less likely to notice it when it's positioned up higher. And that's true for deer as well. I've seen far fewer deer scared when you put that camera higher. They don't notice it as much. Another thing with backing, I went kind of crazy and put all sorts of backing and trail guides and this and that around. I had 3 traps around the carcass. When you over guide that coyote particularly, they get a little cautious. So I had like 3 trails almost leading to the carcass, using a tree nearby that had fallen down with a bunch of limbs and that. So don't go overboard, make it look natural. They're a little bit more likely to come in when it is natural and not over guide it. And even when I did that, the coyotes found a way to go, where I didn't want them to. They would move the brush and everything else and go in a way that wasn't the trail I had designed. Now, some of the dumber things like possums and skunks and things of that, they'll use the trail, and naturally I caught those first. But so make it a little bit natural. Another thing I'll note with coyotes, a lot of times they'll try to move in from the uphill side, and that gives them a better vantage of what's going on around them and also the carcass that they're coming to. So keep that in mind when you're setting your traps out. They're probably more or less going to go to the uphill side first, or most often. You'll see a fox that showed up a ton, and something that surprised me was it was almost fearless. They would come up 15 minutes before the coyotes were there 15 minutes after, 5 minutes before or after. It was kind of crazy how often that showed up, and there's not a whole lot of woods surrounding this trapping site. There is, but it's off in the distance, 100 yards or more on various sides. So it was a bold fox. I don't know if it was just this fox in particular or most foxes, but it kind of surprised me how bold he was showing up when the coyotes did. Finally, something that it's hard for me, and I'm sure hard for a lot of people, is just being patient. Let that, if you have bait out or carcass or whatever, let that sit, let that wait. Sometimes a coyote will walk by several days in a row before it works enough courage, to feel comfortable walking in there. So, be patient with your sets. So, those are the things I've taken away. If you have anything else that you learned or took note of in the videos, let me know in the comments below. But I hope this is helpful to you in some form or fashion, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.